podcast is sponsored.
Budweiser.
I got cheated.
On my end, it's sponsored by Strawberry Daiquiri.
Di Serono.
On my end, I'm coming to you guys with the Corona premiere. I have the courage to drink this. I'm that sort of dude, so respect it.
Corona. We are drinking Corona. Cool.
Amen.
So this is another.
It's finished for Crown, right?
Mm-hmm. This is another episode of the Racial Draft Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I am your host, Michael Ford, and I'm joined by a gaggle of guests. Co-host Marky Keaton. Everybody.
What's up?
Hey, do it again.
Coming to you live from my closet.
And we have two special guests this week. One of them is Frankia. Frankia, give the people all the information that they need to know about you.
I'm half white, half black, and Jewish. That's all you need to know. Oh yeah, and I was in the Marine Corps. And I'm a woman. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Oh, well, okay, you kept it very, very short. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And our other special guest is Joaquin. Joaquin, tell the people everything they need to know.
Hey, what's up? My name is Joaquin McCurdy. I'm a half black, half Native American, Mescalero and Chiricahua Apache. I too was in the Marine Corps, and Kia is my Marine sister. And, hoorah. And I'm a comic book geek, and that's what got us all here right now. So let's talk some comics, man.
Definitely. Just for the listeners, we're currently finalizing our league, so to speak, as concerns the racial draft. Right now, we have 8 teams, and our 8 teams, we're going to be deciding this week what the draft order is going to be for the league once we start drafting. We may draft next week, we may draft the week after that, but this week we're setting the draft order. Kia, you will be affiliated in one way. You're not going to be the captain, unfortunately, of the multiracial team, but you can potentially become co-captain.
Okay, that's fair.
And Joaquin, thank you for coming aboard to be the captain of the Native American team. For the people who are...
yeah, no problem, man.
For the people who are just listening for the first time, the Racial Draft Podcast is a way that we're kind of reimagining comic characters, superheroes, and superheroes more specifically, through the lens of kind of race bending them and using the draft structure to kind of delineate who gets to on certain characters. I'm going to be the commissioner or the host of the podcast, and I'm going to try to keep the festivities flowing, keep it light, keep it fun. Looking forward to actually, now that I'm a football fan, and we just went to the NFL draft, and that was fun. So I may have to try to find human interest stories to keep everybody interested in what the various draft picks are. Looks like Joaquin may be hopping in and hopping out because the connection is a little bit uncertain.
That's good news. I would have expected nothing less than that. So that's actually perfect. That's the sort of technical difficulty we thrive on here.
But I don't know. We just hop right in. What's Marquis, since you're the non-draft, non-commissioner element, you can...
I'm just a hobo, just some hobo who
in the closet
on the podcast, doesn't cut his hair, completely disconnected from her. I'm just like Guy in that Dave Chappelle movie or whatever.
But feel free.
Hey, is that where I know you from? No, I'm just kidding.
Not exactly. You probably gave me some change a few weeks ago before quarantine.
Oh, now it was 3.
I'm gonna miss that Z3153.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. I love it. Oh, it's amazing.
And he's unmuted. Yay!
This is great television.
But Marquis, feel free to throw out some questions. I mean, Joaquin and he and I had a cool conversation earlier, and I would have loved to have recorded some of that for the podcast, but we're perfectly okay reiterating some of the points.
Oh well, I guess in general, like first off, how are captains chosen? I'm
Well,
just
Yeah,
concerned
how
that
are captains
Frankia
chosen?
isn't a
Yeah.
captain. I'm pretty
Thank
disturbed by
you,
that.
Mark. Thank you for
Pretty
the
disturbed by
support.
that.
well, here's the
Yeah,
thing.
I feel you.
Here's the thing about a captain. Captain is a responsibility.
Are you saying that?
Well,
Are you saying I can't be responsible?
I'm not saying you can't be responsible. I'm just saying that as a captain, you're the final say. The buck stops with you.
I'm a woman. This sounds like my life on a daily basis.
The buck stops with you when it comes to drafting. That means that as we come around, as we are, getting to when the time frame comes to get everyone's picks in, you're the one that I reach out to say, regardless of whoever else is on your team, regardless of whoever else is a part of this plan, like at the end of the day, you get to make the final call. So it means that
So why am I not a captain?
Yeah, that just explains why I'm not a captain.
It explains why I should be one.
Exactly. It's so
okay.
counterintuitive right now, Mike.
If I may interrupt,
sure.
Whenever you guys talk over each other, it kind of makes my phone crash.
Oh.
So if you guys don't mind, just wait till somebody's done talking, and then you may speak, and then I'll throw my dumbass 2 cents in.
Z3153V just destroyed the podcast.
We will do. But on that, yeah. So we're just gonna try our best to not talk over one another.
That sounds so respectable.
Well, yeah, I hope so.
But yeah. So honestly, though, I have no problem with you being a captain, Kia. However, there was another.
Whoa, however really means but, which really means whatever I'm saying after this, it's going to negate what I just said before this.
But we had Nathan on the podcast a couple weeks back, Marky. Sure you remember.
Of course.
And Nathan was one of the earliest people that I talked about participating.
Where is Nathan now?
He's in Ohio somewhere.
Yeah, not on this podcast. Just saying.
You are free to wrest control of the multiracial team from Nathan in the next week or so. And
I'll talk to Nathan.
But for now, you're probably a co-captain and not the sole captain. But look, Nathan's pretty amenable to feminine wiles, so
I'll show him my pinky finger.
Have ourselves a new co-captain, or a new captain rather. But yeah, I shouldn't have used the captain nomenclature, but I had to do something to let people know that it's a responsibility, not a.
He's talking to me, guys. He's talking to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm listening.
But Joaquin, you're pretty quiet. Go off.
Well, like I said, for you to consider me a captain, I do consider that an honor. But the thing is that we're here to talk about comic books. I don't know why we're talking about captains, unless we're talking about Captain America or Captain Marvel or whoever the hell. But I am actually glad that Kia did come to me and ask me if I was, as we discussed before, if I was interested in comic books, and I told her, I said, since I was a kid.
I just want to say that's something a captain does.
I think that
Frankie, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
well. Hey, co-captain, why don't you shut the fuck up? Anyway,
I think
that's what I wanted to hear.
Okay, Mark.
It's okay. It's a Marine Corps thing.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, she bad talks me big time. But anyway, I'm really glad that I'm actually able to be here. And to be the quote-unquote Native American captain, even though I'm only half. But there is something I want to ask you, Mike.
Wow, Mike, you there?
Here.
Mike's shocked by that shut the fuck up remark.
You have a question for me?
Well, Mike has been pretty damn quiet. So
I was giving you a platform, my dude. I'm the host. I could say.
But anyway, Mike, you started this whole thing. How would you feel if I got one of my full-blooded Native American geeks, as far as comic books are concerned, to kind of take over the reins?
I mean, if you want it, hopefully there are as many people I want as many people involved in the podcast as possible. So, like, we had a conversation earlier. You mentioned that, that you were half Native American, but that you grew up on the reservation and you grew up traditionally.
Yes.
And, from what I understand about being Native American, it's not just about blood, and I'm not here to police anybody's background and say, oh, well, you're not Native enough, I think that it's great if you want to bring in other people, like, because that's the thing about that I should have said a little bit more when we talked earlier. The captains are the people who are, who have the say over how their teams run. They always have the ability to say, we think this other person could be a better spokesperson or a better representative, or I defer to this other person. It's just, you're the people that I form the connection with. You're the people that I have their information and can reach out to if there's an issue, So, like, I hope to have as many different and diverse guests on the podcast as possible, not just team captains. So at any point, if you want to have one of your, brethren, so to speak, on either with you or without you, I'm all for it. If you want to say that, this person is better suited to take the reins of the team, I'm all for that too. I'm just now finding out about it, so it's a hypothetical for me. But it was really important to kind of make sure that we had at least one person for all of the teams that we were putting together.
Well, just as long as you're not kissing my ass, Mike.
Never that.
Okay, then I respect you even more.
So anyhow, I mean, since we're trying to keep things on the geeky tip, like, captains, like, let's use that to transition to so because we're getting close to drafting, I don't want anyone to have any sort of competitive disadvantage and tip their hands on who they may draft. So assume that
Black Panther. Oh wait, was I not supposed to do that?
Well, you're not drafted.
Oh, that worked out.
But yeah, so we can just kind of generally talk about characters that are that exist out there in ether, and what they would be like if they had different backgrounds. Obviously, you guys, well, Marky, I know you're aware from the MCU about Sam Wilson as Captain America, as the quote-unquote Black Captain America. Are you also aware of Isaiah Bradley?
Nope. Elucidate me.
So there was a storyline a few years back called Truth, Red, White, and Black.
Truth, Red, White, and Black?
Essentially, it was inspired by the Tuskegee experiments, and they were trying to design the super soldier serum. and they used it on black recruits during the World War II. So there were a whole bunch of failed test subjects as they were trying to develop the main super soldier serum, which they eventually used for Steve Rogers. So there was this character, the one black guy who survived, named Isaiah Bradley, and he, you know, in a lot of ways was the quote unquote first Captain America, but they concealed his identity and they concealed all the evidence of what had been done, you know, because it was unethical.
Wait, I assume this is, just to interrupt, this is a much later story than the original Captain America story, I assume.
This was from, I want to say like 10 years ago. But what it did is it added another layer to Captain America mythos, and it added this new character in Isaiah Bradley. So it came out in 2003, actually. But there actually are characters in the Marvel Universe now that are descended from Isaiah Bradley and are themselves kind of part of the Captain America mythos. That wouldn't be, you know, race bending per se. It's just the idea of there being a black person affiliated with Captain America. There's a rumor that the whenever it does happen, the Disney Plus series, that Captain America and Winter Soldier, I think that's what it's called, right? No, Falcon and Winter Soldier, sorry. The Falcon and Winter Soldier will potentially talk about that they'll incorporate that storyline into the storyline of the show. But anyhow, I was just talking about the idea of Captain America as such a symbolic figure, but how it would be thought about differently if that character were black. Kia, what do you think? From mute.
Yeah,
there?
I'm here.
He was on mute.
Definitely here. I know I was on mute. There was a reason why.
Oh, okay.
And she wants to be a team captain.
I can still hear you guys.
Just make sure you're listening, girl.
I'm definitely listening.
So what were your thoughts on Black Captain America?
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Black Captain America, like, it actually, the origin story sounds actually plausible in the real world, and I'm kind of excited. I actually haven't looked too into it or whatnot, so I don't know a lot about it, but when I look into it, I'm pretty excited to, like, check it out, read everything, see what happened and where they're going with it, or where they went with it.
It would actually be kind of interesting, like if Captain America existed in the present day, as opposed to like World War II, like, would they recruit a white guy? Yeah, they probably still would, right? Like,
yep.
They probably still would be like, you know, because he's such a propaganda figure. I could know, you know what? I could see them recruiting a multiracial guy, actually. Like from a pure like political correctness standpoint, I could see, you know, someone who has a background that can be capitalized on, so to speak. But yeah, because we know how fraught things are in the political landscape. I think that if they're a really good, like, clean-cut dude who set all the and was really photogenic and came from like middle America as opposed to the coasts, and, you know, maybe he had like a white dad and a black mom, and they were just, you know, salt of the earth Americana type people, kind of basically like an NFL quarterback, essentially. Like I feel like if they were picking a guy to be like 2000s Captain America, especially if they were trying to send someone to parts of the world that they generally send people now. Like, they might want someone who's a little browner for the pure propaganda factor.
I agree with that. What do you think, Marky Mark?
I'm processing all of this. I'm obviously when he mentioned who we choose today, I suppose it would be somebody like The Rock or Vin Diesel or somebody sort of ambiguous of that nature, but also with a sort of mass appeal. I guess that's sort of where we're at. I mean, that's what gives people comfort or whatever when they don't have to think about sort of some of the darker implications of American history. So that totally makes sense to me that if we were doing it today, that's how they would do it. I mean, obviously I'm not the guy who knows as much about the comics as you guys, but I'm wondering with the series or whatever, was that a voluntary thing or was it a Tuskegee Airman type thing? These soldiers being injected with the serum initially in that series.
Red, white, and black stuff was a Tuskegee type thing. It was voluntary in the sense that they voluntarily joined the military, but it wasn't voluntary in the sense that they knew all that they were getting into when they were. It's been a while since I read it. You know, they definitely didn't know all that they were getting into with regard to the experiment. But no, when I was talking about today, I more meant it from the Steve Rogers that we're aware of, the mythology, if you will, of Captain America, about the kid who signs up, you know, to join up and fight against, you know, whatever enemy is the enemy that we're fighting at the moment, you know.
Oh, I totally get that.
What's that?
I totally get that.
You know, I think, you know, in the 40s, they had that whole thing where he was going around and, you know, building up the war effort to different cities, USO and the like, and of course staging the photo ops and I think that while we're definitely a divided country, we talked about this earlier in the politics, I think that there would be an interest in trying to have a character or a person that could unite the various factions of what people who consider themselves patriotic Americans want to be, you know? So
right, but there's no black character that can do that, right? Unless they're not talking about blackness. So I don't know how that sort of Captain America could unite black people who care a lot about blackness as a singular identity.
Well, no, right. That's why I had said that I think that a multiracial, biracial rather, you know, Captain America, if we were imagining a world where Captain America was being created today, I could see a biracial person better being able to bridge those gaps, you know, especially if he has those other elements of, you know, quote unquote
Whiteness.
well, that too, right?
So sort of like a Barack Obama type Captain America.
Nah, I wouldn't say Barack Obama. The thing you have to realize is that I am one of those biracial Captain Americas.
Okay.
I mean, my blood and the blood of my unborn children are on that flag. And the thing is that I have no regrets. And, you know, Kia will even tell you that, you know, how I got wounded out there, I can never again have any more children. I only have one daughter, and quite ironically, her name is Miracle. And she's a Navajo girl. And the thing is that, you know, as I told Kia and Mike earlier, is the fact that, yeah, coming from two backgrounds, both the African American and the Native American side, yeah, I did grow up a little bit of a racist towards whites. And as I told them, that the Marine Corps was the one that cured me from that. Because when I got hit out in Iraq, it was primarily whites that dragged me out of that hellhole, and they're the reason why I'm alive today. And the thing is that, you know, I love the fact that blacks and whites get along, but as I told Kia and Mike before, is it's that very few people who want to try to keep it alive as far as the racism is concerned, because they try to fight racism with racism. And that's the thing that I don't like, because now I'm starting to see it in the comic books, and I don't like it. And you know, I don't care what your tint color is. You can be black, white, yellow, green, polka dot. I don't care. You have a life. It's in danger. And as a Marine, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try to save your ass. And the thing is that, you know, a lot of people, like in Hollywood and in comic books, they try to say that, oh yeah, the blacks were oppressed, or the Native Americans were oppressed, and this and that and yada, yada, yada. But it's always from these white liberals. And I do ask them the question, you know, do you speak for me? Do you know my people's history on both sides? And that's the thing, is that they're trying to do that in comic books, because, oh my God, you know, black people are this and black people are that. And it's just like, no, I've seen my black people, Kia being one of them. She's a fucking Marine. She's a hard ass. And not only that, we've also had the conversation before we got on this podcast that, yeah, she is a pain in the ass. She is a strong woman. She knows how to take care of herself. And the thing is that, you know, Kia and I have bumped heads as far as her being a woman and me being a man. But, you know, the thing is that I look at the world now and how it's played into a lot of comic books, is that, you know, me being who I am now, you know, 6'3", 285 pounds, you know, they cannot beat me physically. So what they will try to do is that they will try to beat me with dishonor. They will try to say things that, oh yeah, Joaquin, oh yeah, he's nothing but a whore and this and that and yada, yada, yada. And you see it in, you know, a lot of the comic books, you know, a lot of hearsay. And the thing is that, you know, I also read a lot of the DCU comic books, and there were some people who thought Wonder Woman was a bit of a whore, you know, because she fucked around with Batman, Superman, and this and that, and yada, yada, yada. But the thing was that, you know, being an Amazon, Wonder Woman, you know, you can hear a lot of feminism or feminists say that, oh yeah, I don't need no man or this and that and yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, Wonder Woman was the ultimate feminist, and she was created by a man who also created the lie detector test. And the thing is that, you know, even Wonder Woman needed somebody to love, and love was ultimately her weapon. And the thing is that, you know, me being a Native American, I come from a very matrilineal tradition. We believe that our people started from a woman. There are some things that, culturally speaking, that we have lost, because there's a lot of boys who have gotten a lot of these young women pregnant, and they're all single mothers. And then they're wondering why, you know, why can't I find a good man? You know, because a good man would be like, I am not going to date a single mother. And not to be bashing on single mothers, but there are a lot of, like I told Mike, there's a lot of things in comic books that reflect real life, much like it is in the movies. Right. So, you know, some people look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, which is part of the reason why a lot of people read the comic books, they see the movies, and they hate it.
Right.
And
that's a really valid point, but one thing I don't see a lot of times in comic books when we were talking about, like, I know
Mike was saying that, you know, having like a Captain America that was both like half white and half black might unify everybody in a sense, and people can kind of jump on board with that. But what about just having an African American male as a superhero that did not come from oppression? Like a lot of times that I've seen in majority, unless I'm wrong, you guys can totally like correct me on this. I have yet to see an African American comic book person that did not come from some type of oppression. Like, you know, like I was thinking like in terms of like Green Arrow, like he was, you know, he grew up with everything and then he got stranded and everything else like that. And then he came back and he's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go save the world and this is what I'm gonna do because I taught myself how to hunt and do all this cool stuff. But like,
well, here's the
like
thing. You're gonna have to realize that T'Challa came from
right, but he's not
a life that
but
was very rich, very, very privileged. He grew up as a prince.
True, but was he American?
Yeah, that's the thing. So I was gonna so here's the thing. There are characters like that, but I think that one of the things that happens in comics a lot is that their power, not their power, often, but their motivation, so to speak, for becoming heroes is often rooted in some kind of trauma. You know, it's often like my family died, or you know, I endured some kind of hardship around getting my powers, and then the pathos of their experience is what makes them sympathetic. Like I think that,
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, Black Panther.
Yeah.
He came from a traumatic background. I mean, Claw. Even though you don't see it in the movie, in the MCU movies, in the comic books, his dad was killed by Claw, and he was killed right in front of him. Exactly. And that was how T'Challa became the Black Panther, and his only mindset was to, you know, I gotta find Claw and I gotta kill his ass. And that's what made the Black Panther so lethal, was the fact that once you found out that the Black Panther was on your ass, you were pretty much already dead. So yeah, I mean. Or another, a lot of heroes do come from trauma. I mean, like you said, Mike, Peter Parker.
I was going to Miles Morales, actually. You know, like
Miles Morales, even the Hulk, Iron Man.
You say what I was Morales.
Yeah.
Miles Morales, like generally speaking, is pretty. He's doing all right, you know, like he's got a little bit of stuff because, you know, he's in Brooklyn and he's going to this privileged school or whatever, but he's got a cool life. But it's seeing Peter Parker die in front of him. Like Peter Parker, in a lot of ways, is his Uncle Ben, you know, like he felt like he could have done more. And if he had done more after he gotten bitten by the spider, then maybe Peter Parker wouldn't have died. And that makes him want to follow in his footsteps. So
can I just?
Well, that's part of the beauty of comic books, because you get a lot of what ifs. And the thing is that I watched this movie called Brightburn. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what if Superman?
I haven't seen it. Familiar with it though.
Yeah. What if Superman turned into a villain? And I played this game called Injustice: Gods Among Us, where Lois Lane gets killed and then Superman just snaps and he becomes a dictator. The thing is that a lot of the heroes, anti-heroes, and the villains, you know, a lot of them do it by choice. You know, I mean, you look at Dr. Doom and what happened with the Fantastic Four. You know, Dr. Doom, he's got some power, but he decided, you know, fuck it, I got all this power. I can defeat the Fantastic Four.
Remember, Dr. Doom.
I'm going to try to dominate the world, you know.
Remember, himself, there was a certain amount of trauma because he is, you know, I mean, what we used to call a gypsy, you know, like basically like the oppressed group in Latveria, and his people were held down. His mother gets killed, you know, but he decides, I'm going to use my intellect. I'm going to accumulate all this power and I'm going to take over. And one of the reasons that he's so beloved in Latveria as compared to everywhere else is that he treats everyone, equally in his homeland because he was so poorly treated there. But to the rest of the world, he's a villain because he wants to rule it. He honestly believes that the world will be better, if it was under his thumb, that all of the things that we do to each other, all of the, oppressions and the, whatever, the inequalities of the world, like, would be kind of evened out. Because
Mike, I just want to jump in a little bit because I feel like what's happening is, so oppression is a type of trauma, right? So I feel like we're merging trauma and oppression a little bit. And just to sort of follow up on Kia's point, I don't doubt that, I mean, I haven't read every comic in the universe, but probably all superhero characters for the most part come from some sort of trauma, because that's probably character motivation is a pretty basic thing. The question sort of becomes is, we as Africans in America, or African Americans, how interested are we in stories that don't relate to America's particularized history of oppression, right? Which I think is a very different subset than just the traditional, oh, my parents were murdered by a supervillain super story. And I know from my personal perspective as a Black person growing up in the South, I don't really have any interest in a Black character who supposedly grew up in America, but somehow was not exposed to a racialized experience. I have zero interest in that because I can't relate to it. I wouldn't understand it. Is there a benefit to that for someone who has managed to grow up in America and not have racialized experiences? Potentially. But I think if I was exposing this sort of art to my children, what I would want them to see is things that are sort of representative of the true fabric of American society. It's hard for me to imagine a Black person growing up in America whose racial identity is not a part of who they are. So in terms of art, that doesn't interest me.
If I may, the thing is that a lot of the African American slavery that went on here in the United States, a lot of those slaves came from slaves in Africa. And the thing is that there were African slaves who were owned by African owners. And the thing is that not only does
but they weren't really slaves though. Like, they were just like people
totally
working.
Different system.
Totally different system. Indentured servants, right?
Well,
totally different system.
Yeah, but they were paid. They could have families. They could do this. They weren't whipped.
Do you know the definition of an indentured servant?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Okay. So the thing is that when whites brought Blacks over to America, they were already slaves. And the thing is that, and this is the conversation that I had with Mike, was the fact that, when we first came here, America.
Is your supposition that every Black person who came to America was already the same sort of slave in Africa?
No, I'm not saying that. The reason why I'm saying this is because, I don't want to get too political, but what's going on nowadays?
I mean, we're pretty political, right?
This is what's happening. Okay.
Political.
All right. Hold on. Okay. The thing is that we have illegal immigrants coming from Mexico, right?
Okay.
Wait.
The thing is, illegal? Hold on.
I feel like we have to let this play out. Although I may regret it. And Mike, you might have to edit it.
Let me finish. Okay. The thing is that I am 120 miles north of the Mexican border. The people that were coming from Mexico were not Mexicans. Guess where they came from?
Central America?
Please say Africa. Please say Africa.
They're coming from Africa.
Shut up!
Yes, they are. And that's
this
the
whole
thing.
time Trump has been trying to cast out on Mexicans, and it's really Africans coming in.
It's really, I shit you not. It is totally Africans. Black people from Africa are sneaking into America from the border. And here's the thing about these progressives and these SJWs.
Wow, even
When
Trump
Donald
has
Trump
gotten to this
said that
talking point.
hold on.
Okay, fair enough.
Whenever Donald Trump said that we have a problem with immigration, the first thing that these progressives said, and this is what I was saying about racism, fighting racism with racism, is the fact that whenever Donald Trump's saying they're coming from south of the border, he said illegal immigrants, and the first things that these progressives said was Mexicans, and it's just like, no, it's not Mexicans. They're coming from Africa.
Right, but he has
And the thing is that we don't want to deny them.
Mexicans though. We're just to
Yeah, it's not entirely Mexicans. You got Muslims. You got Iranians. You got
Right, but he said racist things about Mexicans. So you can say that it's something else, but he himself has said racist things about Mexicans.
Yeah, because he knew that he would definitely get in trouble if he said anything racist about Africans.
Right.
The country's not ready for that. I mean, they're trying to like walk away from that and be like, yo, that never happened. We didn't do that. Who? That was our
People always try to recharacterize Trump, but I say just take him at face value. I just take him at the racist things that he said. I don't interpret them away. Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on. You know, if I was to ask you, give me one comic book that tells me about Black Lives Matter, I will shut the fuck up.
I mean, there's a comic book. Are you familiar with Nighthawk?
Mm-hmm. Or as the whites would say, Nightcock.
I did not know about that. What?
Oh yeah,
they get around to that. I guess.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah, I am not ignorant to what they say.
So what are they saying about Nighthawk? I'm interested.
They just make fun of his name. Oh, Nighthawk.
Well, that's a very low level of analysis, like because
it's not a low level of analysis. It's just what I hear. No. And the thing is you know, being being a comic book geek, you know, I can spot racism because not only have I experienced racism
yourself
from not only whites, I've also experienced it also from blacks and my own people, the Native Americans. Because according to the natives and the blacks, I will never be black enough and I will never be native enough. So my whole philosophy is, you know,
that's a wait. You don't have to own that though. You don't have to let an external factor make you feel that you're not black enough or not native enough. You own that.
Here's the thing. The thing I believe in is that it is easy to fit in. It is difficult to stand out. I chose to stand out. I am who I am. I can be black when I want to. I can be native when I want to. I can be both. I can blend in two cultures should I feel like it. And that's the thing that got me past this whole race thing, is the fact that, you know, growing up as a kid, yeah, I got picked on, I got beat up, I got dust thrown on me to make me look white, because my last name is McCurdy, which means I'm Scottish. I got some white in me. And the thing is that
well, I hate to break it to you, but most of us have some white in us.
Exactly.
I try to get white in me a lot. Dude.
I mean, because look at Kia's last name. Shoot.
Just kidding.
She's Jewish as hell.
Mazel tov, bitches.
I know what you're talking about, Kia. Don't. We're trying. That's why Kia's got to be on the show, because she's bringing us out of the deepness. Because so here's the thing, Joaquin. I hear a lot of what you're saying. I hear most of what you're saying, actually. But I think, like, in terms of, you know, if we're talking about comics, right? And we're talking about how people want to tell these, like, inspirational stories and these stories of heroism, I think there's something to the idea of having people who come from backgrounds that are rooted in trauma and rising above that. right? I mean,
Yeah, I
Trauma,
totally
yes,
get
but
that.
oppression, maybe not so much.
well,
Because I don't want like, you know, I think Mark was saying something to the point where, you know, I don't think he wants his children to not be able to relate to, like, you know, the things that we go through on a daily basis. But I kind of feel like you can go through trauma without being oppressed. And I feel like that is a good example, especially for like the African Americans in
Well,
this world.
here's the thing, Kia, is that, you know, with me being a combat vet, I am going through some trauma, but race is not my forte, if you will.
no, I get that.
I mean,
And
yeah, I like white people.
Mhm.
I just don't trust them.
Oh well, I mean that's sort
it's
of
the
saying
Native
both things at
American
once,
in
though.
me, you know. It's just like,
And now
yeah,
that they're
I
all
just,
wearing masks out in Corona.
yeah, and here's the thing, you know, like, you know, okay, I'm gonna be quite honest with y'all. I am a Trump supporter, but at the same time, I don't like his ass.
Hey
I
Mike, you're
do
gonna have to
support his
edit that. You're gonna have to edit
policies.
that out for
I
him.
do support his policies, but I don't have to like him, because being the president of the United States, it's not a popularity contest.
Makes me
And
want to
that's
drink
the
some
thing.
disinfectant.
so
Yeah,
Are we gonna
and
go down this path, Mike? We're gonna be.
no,
we
well, here's the thing. Like, what's
Mike, what are we gonna do here?
well, with
I'm gonna
what's his name? Miller, the one who was Batman's, was it Frank Miller?
Frank Miller, yes.
Yeah, Frank Miller. And that was one of the first times that we saw Batman take on Superman.
What? I'm here.
Well, yeah, Frank Miller. Yeah, he wrote the story of where
Dark Knight Returns.
it was in the 80s, and then Batman took on Superman because
Right.
Superman, he finally decided to be the president's bitch, and Batman was just like, fuck you, you know.
Like there are
You
some
know,
definitely fascist overtones to the Dark Knight Returns, though. Like,
oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
I mean, it's one of the things that makes it an interesting story.
Do you think the Dark Knight should have been black?
The Darker Knight, if we're talking.
Yeah, like, do you think
So
The Blackest Night.
the Blackest Knight? Like, I feel like
there's a character named Night Thrasher, right? Who basically has Batman's origin. Like, he's rich. His parents were gunned down in front of him in New York, and he turns himself into a badass fighting machine. But at the end of the day, he's not Batman. You know, like he doesn't have.
Isn't he the one that has all the cybernetic shit? The Black Batman, the one who's got the flight suit and the.
No, that's someone else. But
because like there was a Black Batman. I think it was like with the Black family. It was after Bruce Wayne dies, and then Dick Grayson, the original Robin, picks up the mantle of Batman, and then there's
you might be talking about.
I think it was like Lucas Fox.
You're talking about Batman. You're talking about Batman. No,
Yeah.
Night Thrasher's a Marvel character. But like, so Night Thrasher's deal is that like he's got Batman's origin, but he takes it a different kind of way because he's raised in a different kind of country. One big difference between the DC universe and the Marvel universe, just broadly, is that the DC, most of the cities in DC are fictionalized. They're not. They weren't initially intended to be the real world. They were intended to sort of stand in a broader sense of what the real world was. So that's why you have the cities like stylized Gotham or stylized Metropolis. You know, they're not. They're supposed to be quote unquote more universal because they're not based on American cities. So like the character of Night Thrasher is similar to Batman, but he grew up in New York. The character
I do know Night Thrasher, yeah.
Right. The character I mentioned before, Nighthawk, he grew up in Chicago. You know, he's a character that, in addition to being much more brutal than Batman, he's constantly fighting against corrupt businessmen and corrupt cops. You know, he's a in addition to being a crime fighter, is a quote unquote avenger for racialized justice. And I think that in terms of what makes certain Marvel characters more accessible to certain kinds of fans is that sense that these characters are steeped in a world that's comparable to our world, and that they, in addition to dealing with the supervillains and dealing with the problems of the superheroic world, they're also dealing with the problems of our world. You know, that they're not trying to be overtly political in the sense of telling you which candidate to vote for, but they're being political in the sense of saying these are the political realities that we're dealing with in this day and time. So it's one of the
Well,
it's harder to say this is a story from the 80s and this is a story from today and compare the two, because they're telling a story about our understanding of the world in the 80s versus our understanding.
And Mike, can I take this a little bit back to the Captain America discussion? Because I want to be clear about this. Like, in order for something like Captain America to work, and he's going to be Black, it has to be representative of America.
Yeah.
And just to me or whatever, there's just no conception of America that does not have some sort of nexus to race, to gender, to all those things that have made our country sort of the complicated mix that it is, right? So like the idea that I think when I look at this, I don't need every Black character to always be talking about oppression in order to be entertained by that. I mean, that's not really the point. But the point is, if a character is going to be called Captain America, it's hard for me to imagine that particular character there not being some sort of discussion or nexus to American oppression in there. I don't see how you can extricate race from that character if you're going to make that character Black.
You see, Mark, that was one of the things that I talked with Mike and Kia about, was the culmination of a lot of these Black characters. Because what I told them was one of the things that I hated about a lot of the Black superheroes was the fact that they had the word Black in front of their name. And it's just like, we know they're Black. You don't have to call them the Black Panther or the Black Lightning or anything like that. We know they're Black. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you know, whether Captain America is Black, white, Latino, fucking Chicano, Native American, Chinese American, I don't care. The thing is that if he's got the red, white, and blue, that is Captain America. And, you know,
well, he's only Captain America though if he's representing Americans. Just because you call it Captain America doesn't make it Captain America. What makes it Captain America is if it's promoting the ideals that we want America to represent.
Yeah. And so what I jump in on is Marquis. So there was a run where Sam Wilson got the shield, right?
Right.
Rogers gave him the shield, and you know he has this speech where he, you know, he's addressing the world as the new Captain America, and you know, and he confides in Steve. Look, I'm a different kind of dude than you. You know, like I had different experiences. I grew up in a different time, and you tended to try to be apolitical. You tended to try to stay above the fray. You know, I can't be like you. And Steve says, just be you, to be whoever you are. And immediately after he does that, immediately after he tries to, they don't say the substance of what he says in this address, but essentially he becomes the polarizing figure that we were talking about before. He becomes the character where there are random white people saying, you're not my Captain America, you're not the real Captain America. And then he has, you know, Black people and poor people with different backgrounds putting up the fist and being like, yeah, you know, finally we have a Captain America that tells it like it is, you know. And the story sort of spins out of the fact that, like, you know, you're a symbol, but you're also a person, you know. And
the thing is that they did the same thing with Black Panther, saying like, oh my God, we got our first Black superhero, when in fact that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. Back in 1996, 1997, you had Blade with Wesley Snipes. he's a Marvel character.
Sure.
And he was fucking dudes up, black, white, Asian. I mean, watch the movie. And yeah, I mean, people were thinking Deadpool was the first rated R movie, and it was like, no, it was Blade. And the thing is that Blade is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel universe. And Blade, Wesley Snipes' character, was the one who put Marvel on the scene. So it was a black man that fucking did all that shit.
But here's the thing about
and
one thing that Blade, the character, is the cinematic character, different from Blade, the comic character, is that Wesley Snipes brought a lot of those elements into the character that didn't exist in the comics. You know, he made that character, he brought the coolness, he brought the martial artsness, you know, because Wesley Snipes himself was that and wanted to be that kind of action hero. So for a lot of people, even though Blade is a comic character, he's also an action hero. You know, he's a Snipes action hero. And it made it harder. You know, there were Blade comics in the aftermath and the sort of the time right before and right after the movie. But it wasn't a sense of him playing a character that existed in the books. He was playing he made essentially infused a comic character with new elements. And in fact, that kind of ties to sort of the broader enterprise of what we're doing, you know, with the podcast. You know, by taking that element, by taking the Wesley Snipes cool factor and having him play Blade, if they could have had a whole bunch of other actors play Blade, and it wouldn't have had as much appeal. It wouldn't have been as popular, and it wouldn't have been as iconic. Wesley Snipes plus Blade was iconic in a way that, you know, with the MCU, what the MCU tried to do is it tried to translate these characters as they existed in the books to the film. So while I totally agree that Wesley and Blade deserve their due as iconic characters, you only need to look at the last 10 years and how little appeal is the wrong word, how less resonant Blade is in the books and in pop culture than in his high point in the 90s. It wasn't sustained. You know, the minute that Wesley was separated from, I mean, it may change. You know, Mahershala Ali is going to be playing Blade at some point in.
So that's what I'm saying is that.
But we don't know.
I mean, if Blade is that insignificant,
I'm not saying
why the hell are they making another movie?
I'm not saying he's insignificant. I'm just saying that we don't know to what extent Blade is going to resonate on the high level of pop culture and in high level of black culture.
Also, it just feels like there are lots of characters that don't have black in front of their name. So I don't actually know why it matters that there are some that do, right? Like Storm she's not Black Storm.
Exactly. That's what I told Kia and Mike. I said, I told them that, you know, I was like, hey, I had some Marine brothers that came to my house and we were watching the Black Panther. And my friend Baker, he was just like, I told him, I was just like, there's some things I don't like about some of these African-American characters. And he was just like, why? You're an African-American? I said, yeah, I'm half. But at the same time, I said, why is it that whenever a black superhero comes out, they have to have black?
Oh, but I actually think, not to interrupt, but I actually think my point is that opposite. Like my point is that there's a mix of these characters, and some of them have black, but certainly not all of them. Blade doesn't have black in front of his name. Storm doesn't. It's a mix, and because it's a mix, it's not so threatening that a few do.
Well, but my whole thing is like you don't have like white Wonder Woman or
exactly
Asian Iron Fist or like why
you don't even have an Asian Iron Fist.
I know that's my point. Like
so that's even worse.
Like, you know, like I'm just saying, like you don't have that. So why is it just for?
Right, but we mentioned that back in the day. You know, like when some of these characters were created in the late 60s and early 70s, the fact that they were black was part of the marketing for the character. This was like towards the blaxploitation era when, a lot of stuff was pitched around the idea of it being blackity black, black, black. Yeah, that was a thing. That was a relic of the time. There are very few characters that get created now that have black in their name because it's not necessary. But at the time that they were remember, they're trying to sell comics, right? They're trying to sell, to what they believe the audience, what they believe the audience wants. And the fact that those characters still have black in their name is more of a function of the fact that they've existed for 40 years, not the fact that they think that they still have to.
Black Kia.
Like
I'm black.
Like, it doesn't bother me that Black Panther has black in his name. It doesn't really bother me that Black Lightning has black in his name.
Black Michael.
Well, it bothers me a little bit with Black Lightning because there's no such thing.
But the thing is, like,
there's no such thing as superpower people.
You see,
No.
you see, Mike.
That's real,
my name in the Marine Corps is Savage, and I didn't take it as a
derogatory.
As a
Well, that's because of Megan
derogatory
Thee
term.
Stallion
No,
song.
I didn't. The reason why I took it is because I beat the hell out of 300-pound Samoan, and I won because I was dancing with his very voluptuous sister by the name of Jocelyn at this club called Stellar. And the thing is that yeah, his brother got pissed off, so I broke both of his knees.
Best podcast ever.
They didn't call me Black Savage. It was just
Black Savage.
Black Savage.
Black Savage is actually like a really cool name. Like, I'm a rapper. I'd want this name. Black Savage.
Like I said on my Facebook, I was a savage before being savage was cool.
Black Savage could get it.
Like a Black Savage in this bitch.
Here's the thing. No, but
Mike, you're gonna have to edit that.
Oh, you ain't editing nothing, man. Like I said, like I said, I'm totally politically incorrect. Yeah, I'm a Native American, and my Marine name is Savage. I'm not gonna fucking deny that at all. Period.
Oh well, that's a good point that I think is essential to this. I think what we have is four people with varying degrees of racial gender experience in America. And what we have is four, sort of different viewpoints, but also sort of shared viewpoints of like the nexus. And I think my position has always been, I'm not ever of a mindset that what we need to do is tell people to get over race or get over their experience.
Well, the thing is,
I feel
Mike,
like
is
the goal
is
of
the
any
fact
sort of
that,
society that's progressing is for people.
with
One moment, let me finish.
I'm
I think the goal is the goal. We have a no interrupting rule. That's Robert's Rules of Order.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
You established these, so I think my only goal is I'm just following your rules. I think my only goal is for people to be able to express their identity in the way that they want to express it, and if that makes other people uncomfortable, I mean, fine, so be it. I am not responsible for other people's comfort with my personal discussion of race, because my experience with race in America is my experience. No one else gets to determine that for me. So I would never, just like I wouldn't tell a woman, your expression of gender doesn't matter, right? That's her experience with gender in our gender society. So it's not my goal to tell people to get over things or to get over race. My goal is, can we get to a society where people can express themselves about what they actually feel that they're going through without feeling like they're being ostracized or not listened to? And essentially what we have is, well, if you say something is Black, there's a certain segment of society that is like, well, I don't want to hear that. I don't hear about your experiences. I don't want to hear about your identity. And that to me is disturbing, because to me, when you close off information, experiences, knowledge, identity, or whatever, you're destroying communication. And at the end of the day, communication is really the only way we can move forward as a society. So some of the perspective that people need to get over things is like intrinsically flawed to me, because how can you tell people to get over all the horrible things that have happened to them. That's the horrible thing that happened to them. They
Yes.
have to talk about it and speak about it and process it. And our society, if we're going to progress, should be a safe space, for those things. But what we've done is we've created this system where this person said black, so I'm not going to listen to anything else this person says. I don't want to talk about race like that. It doesn't matter. This person should have gotten over that. And that's disturbing to me when it happens. That's my
Well,
hot take.
I agree.
Yeah, the thing is that when I was younger, I bought into this whole bullshit, forgive and forget. Yeah, I can forgive, but I won't forget.
And you shouldn't.
And the thing is, the reason why I believe that is because, yeah, I can forgive whites for what they did to my people on both sides. But at the same time, I can't forget it because at the same time, I will not allow my people to go through the same shit that they went through before I was born. And the thing is that, you know, with Mike doing this sort of thing, as far as comic books, as far as us opening up about you know, race and culture and all this other stuff, that's a step in the right direction, you know, because I did tell Mike that yeah, maybe there should be some cultural sharing,
Yeah.
you know, because for me, I like to think that I'm a bridge between two people. That's between the African American and the Native American.
Mhm.
And you know, with you, Kia, and Mike, you know, expressing your opinions and all that stuff, you know, even though I may not agree with it, I do respect it. And you know, we're not gonna agree on everything. It's just, you know, me being a Marine, you know, you do have a right to speak.
And
Kia knows this. I know this. You know, and anybody tries to take that away, you know, we're there to say, hey, you don't get to shut him up. That's his constitutional right. And that's the thing that, you know, I like to let a lot of people understand, just for the simple fact that, you know, we're all Americans, black, whites, reds, polka dots, rainbow, I don't give a fuck. But the thing is that, yeah, Kia and I being out there, out in the world, we understand the freedoms that we have here and we don't take it for granted.
Right.
And even though Kia is a pain in the ass,
I
and
feel like
we
I'm really
disagree on a lot of shit,
Yeah.
she does know that anybody fucks with her, they're gonna have to fuck with me. And as a fellow American, you know, that's what I'm gonna have to do with you. So yeah, it's just who we are. And it's like that with the comic books, because
Like Marquis said, sorry to jump in, but like the key is remembering that it's not a monolith, that people have different views, people have different perspectives, and you try
exactly.
respecting the different perspectives. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're going to disagree. Sometimes you're going to passionately disagree. Sometimes you're going to be like, I think that's some bullshit, right? But the thing is, respect where people are coming from and try to come together for some kind of commonality so that we can all like move to a better place.
I would even say
Yeah.
go a step further and not only respect where they're coming from, but try to understand where they are.
Okay.
And if you feel as though, like, you know, they could progress forward, try to help them along in that process.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. But the key is the mutual respect, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think sometimes where art fails is the lack of mutual respect, is the lack of the idea that everyone's stories deserve to be told, or
Yeah, I mean, to be totally quite honest, Mike, I could be a quote unquote progressive and just say, oh, you're just nothing but a fucking sellout. You're this and that and yada, yada, yada. But I don't do that. And the thing is that, whenever you speak, I'll shut the fuck up and listen. And it was the same deal with Kia, because Kia will tell you, yeah, her and I, we butted heads quite a bit. And, but I listened. And, I think with this sort of mentality and the thing that you're trying to start now, I honestly do think that it will bring people together. And whether we're politically speaking on the left or the right, it's going to be okay. It's like, I'm not going to slam on you just for the simple fact that you're thinking opposite of me. And it's like that with Mark. He's got his opinions, and some of them maybe based on fact. And the thing is that, like I said, I'll shut the fuck up and I'll
At least
listen.
2 out of 5
Like
opinions based on facts in
if
every
you can prove
podcast.
me, well, here's the thing: if you can prove me wrong, I will shut the fuck up and be like, okay, yeah.
Well,
Mark.
just to be honest with you, I never even view the goal of a discussion as to prove somebody wrong. It's not a gladiatorial arena. It's a discussion forum. And what you're doing when you're talking to other people is you're creating sort of a mind meld, essentially, of ideas that are like going back and forth to hopefully create some sort of new, more fully informed perspective on something. So I don't actually view discussion as combat all the time, where we're trying to like force someone to force someone to see things the way that we see them. I think you achieve that by being confident in your worldview, because it's based on facts and knowledge and experience. And I think people do better when they sort of respect that, regardless of whether I can relate to where someone is coming from or their political position or whatever. They are a human being, they are an individual. So we all have to give each other sort of the respect that we want. And the truth is, life is about growth. And at the end of the day, growth is uncomfortable. Growth is unpleasant. So if we're not growing, we're not living.
It's not growth, it's actually life.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, whenever, we have different values or different ways that we see life, I listen. I don't really try to cut you off and do all this other stuff. It's just, okay, well, tell me your point of view. And that's the thing. It's the fact that I don't really try to call you names or tell you, oh my God, you were so ignorant and this and that and yada, yada, yada. Nah, it's not that. It's just, well, tell me what you feel. Tell me what you think. Yeah. And that's what opens up a decent dialogue. And this is what debates are done correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's transition a little bit back to the racial draft, because we do have some racial draft business.
Oh yeah, the new name for this podcast should be Off Topic.
We have to set a draft order for the racial draft. And I have here the official bag that I'm going to use to select the different teams and create the drafting order. Marky, would you like to do me a favor and keep track of, I'll do it as well, but you can be a second set of eyes.
Hold on, Mike, I'm going to power up some sort of document.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm using this technology.
Yes. I have in front of me 8 different Scrabble tiles to correspond with the 8 teams.
for those young kids out there, Scrabble was a game.
Yeah.
So I have the P Team Polynesia. I have the N for Team Native.
Oh, I thought I was gonna say something else.
Oh, I have the M for Team Multiracial. I have the W for Team White. I have.
But shouldn't it be C?
Whoa.
Caucasian. Oh.
I have the J for Team Jewish.
Too technical.
Do you say Jush?
Jewish.
Oh, I thought you said Jush. I was like, what? What
Oh my gosh. Do you know what Jush means in my language?
What does it mean?
No.
It means pussy.
Oh,
I knew he was gonna say that, and I didn't stop him. I knew it. I saw that happening, and I didn't do anything about it.
I kid you not. That's what Jush means.
I have the L for Team Latinx or Latina or Latino, depending on your specific background. And I have the A for Team Asian and the B for Team Black.
Really?
Yes, really. So I'm going to shake it around. I am selecting for the top choice, the number 1 draft.
Wait, this is number 1, not number 12? Is that how you do that? I thought you worked from bottom to top.
No, because the
Is that how you do it?
Oh my God! Oh, I like this podcast.
I couldn't help myself.
Everyone has a equal chance of getting the number 1 draft pick.
Got it.
The other way, then it goes the other, the wrong way.
That's why math is not my strong point.
All right. So the number 1 pick is M for multiracial.
I'm just glad it wasn't W. Gosh.
Nice.
Of which Kia may one day be the captain, but right now is
It's looking pretty low.
Number 2 pick is N for Team Native.
Still think it's another word.
Yeah, that was dangerous too. This podcast is so off the rails tonight.
Number 3 pick is P for Team.
For Jush. What?
Oh,
Oh, wait, what was P for again?
Polynesian, honestly, I think. Korean.
Yes.
Got it.
Team Asian is the 4th pick.
Asia's really big, right? You're probably going to have to break that down eventually, maybe.
Man, just like usual, Black is migrating to the bottom of this list.
As long as it comes before W, I'm good.
J, Team Jewish.
Yay.
We didn't even make the top 5.
Wait, why am I not in the J?
Because
Mike.
Nope.
Can we revisit this issue?
Don't put me on the spot. Frankia Bernstein. I needed help with Team Multiracial.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fair.
TW.
Oh no, put it back. What the heck is that? Why did it come before B? If B comes next, I swear to God.
I bet B's gonna be number 8, right? Definitely. That's how this is going. B's gonna be number 8.
I can't believe it. And Mike fixed it.
Ah!
He did it on purpose.
It's rigged, just like his NFL draft.
Self-hate.
Now remember, it's snake draft. So snake draft means that if you're the first pick in the first round, if you're the last pick in the first round, the first pick in the second round, and vice versa. So Team Multiracial, Frankia gets and Team Native, Joaquin.
Nice.
I'm just gonna switch back and forth between like multiracial, Jewish, and then Black, depending on who gets it first.
And that's why you can't be the captain. You can't.
I can be the captain of all 3.
For all time, But hey, since we're here, and since you guys know, your drafting order, you guys can talk about. Now you can feel comfortable talking about who you might want to draft, seeing that you can't have it your pick taken out from under you.
Ooh.
And I will enjoy listening to the experts
Hey.
discuss
Remember,
their draft style.
This is not.
Who do you want, Keen?
I thought we weren't doing the draft style till later.
No, we're not asking. This isn't official.
No, this is a hypothetical. Who do you want? Who do you really, really want?
So let me clarify. This is not official. No one's being drafted based on what we talk about here. I was just saying that because team multiracial first, there's zero possibility that anyone you discuss will be drafted ahead of you because you get the first pick. So if you wanted to pick around some ideas, you wouldn't have to worry about tipping your hand with regard to the draft. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And and similarly, there's a chance that one person, Kia, could steal your pick. But if you felt comfortable, Joaquin, sharing some possibilities,
why are you helping him?
I'm just saying that if I want to keep the conversation going, so I want to.
I just want him to tell me who he really wants,
so that you can draft it out from under him.
That's pretty much it.
Like
that was my
Survivor
whole
here.
plan. I'm a savage. Oh, our black savage.
Black Savage. I want to watch that show.
I want you to go first, Kia, because
Go ahead, Kia.
This is hard. Like, 'cause I like the villains.
Villains are open to be drafted.
I really like the villains because I feel like their focus is better. Like do-gooders, blah, boring, boo.
Well, like I told you, you're a pain in the ass, so that makes you a villain.
Pretty much. I don't know. I don't want to give anything away, but like I think I'm liking Magneto or Wolverine.
So a multiracial Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it. Give me some thoughts. Now,
Well,
by multiracial, you mean yes. Which did you have a particular racial mix?
I feel like he should be like. Wait, can I say like he's Hispanic and maybe like I don't know.
Yeah, this is we're just talking.
Unleash your power.
Hispanic and Asian.
Oh wow, that's a weird mix.
I know. I'm gonna keep it different.
You're going now.
And then I'm picking that based on the stereotypes that I am thinking in my brain that I will not say out loud. Yay!
Would it be the first time somebody didn't say something out loud or thinking in their brain on this podcast?
It's my first time.
Magneto's motivations in his traditional incarnation, tends to be that he's a Holocaust survivor, and he's of humanity, and he wants to make sure that. Well, here's the weird thing about Magneto: like, if you look at him sympathetically, you're saying that he just wants to make sure that the worst that humanity can do doesn't happen to people.
Yeah, and he's just for his people. Like he really is just for his people.
Is that he was the victim of a group of people who consider themselves the master race, and now that he's discovered that he's a mutant, he considers mutants the master race. So there's a certain level of irony in the villainy and how Magneto's motivated, because he does believe that mutants are genetically superior to non-mutants.
But they are.
Superior is a value judgment and not just a function of how strong you are in the world.
Or the fact that you could, like, I don't know, move like rocks, and like I would pick the guy that could move rocks if I owned a construction business, as opposed to the guy that would be like, hey, I need my 10-minute break.
No, don't get me wrong. Listen, mutant powers are extremely helpful a lot of the time, but the fact that one person can create laser beams that come out of his eyes, and another person grows bones out of his skin. You know, what they have in common is that they're both mutants. One power isn't really on the same level as the other. Like Magneto believes that every mutant is genetically superior to every non-mutant. You know, but
it's like coming with like an extra package. It's like if you go to like Best Buy and you're like, you can get the TV and, you know, the speakers, and then they throw in, you know, with the mutant package, you're getting the TV, the speakers, and the Blu-ray and and everything else. I don't know. Sounds like a better deal.
It is a better deal, definitely.
Exactly. So mutants therefore are superior. That is my logic. That is what I'm going with.
DVD combo in all this. Wait. I think we learned that it's good to be really good at one thing rather than have the other thing.
You don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Right.
That is true.
But no, Magneto's a really cool character, and he's a guy who's always gonna get up to some stuff. Like he would be an addition to really any. He would be a strong addition to really any team.
And I feel like for the most part, like it's always in the end that he loses. So I wouldn't call him the closer, but you know, for the most part, he gets most of his shit done.
And you know, if we want to talk about downtrodden people, I feel like, particularly if we're saying like a Spanish-speaking Magneto, you know, who now when you say Latino, do you mean in America or do you mean from originally from South America?
I don't know. Who would have more?
Work in progress, Mike. It's a WIP.
Who would have more chutzpah? I don't know. Let's go with South America. I'm feeling.
I like that. I feel like South America would be more interesting. I'm not more interesting, but certainly would be interesting as a sort of a less represented perspective.
Right? You know, I mean, to the extent that there's like we had talked about this earlier about like revolutionaries. You know, there was definitely a lot of counter-imperial revolutionaries in their mid 20th century. You know, a freedom fighter who's fought against the imperialist forces. Now he's the master of magnetism, and he wants to make sure that. But can you also, right? Like, which Asian? Did you have a specific mix in mind?
I'm gonna go with Korean.
Ooh, they've seen some shit too. So like, let me see, like South American and a
freedom fighters
together, and they had a child, and that child grew up where?
Huh?
Where did that child grow up?
Africa. The child grew up in Africa.
I was gonna say South Africa. Get them all confused.
Exactly.
No, honestly,
you know they're all. This is one big country.
Honestly, I just say like I feel like he grew up in Toronto.
Toronto. Okay.
You put her on the spot, Mike.
You got a Canadian Magneto.
I really have to think this through, but.
No, this is what we're doing. We're just brainstorming. All right, so you got a Canadian, Korean, South American.
Magneto.
He has mutant powers and decides that now is the time to unite the mutant forces to to liberate his people. All right, it's a thought, and nothing's binding. So what do you have, Joaquin? You got any ideas, potentials?
I wonder what he would look like.
Well, I was kind of laughing at the freedom fighter thing.
Laughing at? Oh, okay, I see how it is. No.
So, well, yeah, you can see how it is, whatever you want, but you seem to forget that I come from the bloodline of Apache. Freedom fighters.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
We were the last to give up to the United States government. And not only am I Apache, I am also Tohono O'odham.
What is that? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar.
So Hana Otam, I'm not sure if you've seen the Iwo Jima monument.
Okay.
You see those Marines hanging the flag?
Mm-hmm.
The one not touching the flag, but he's got both of his hands up.
Mm-hmm.
That's my great grandfather, Ira.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Fun
So-
fact.
Yeah, so yeah, I got some little Marine Corps history. And the thing is that my great grandmother, Darcy, she was actually one of the searching parties that went out to go look for him, and they found him frozen to death.
That
So yeah, I come from a long line of warriors all the way back till it was literally cowboys and Indians.
Mm.
And so yeah, I've been listening. And that's the reason why, like I said, my life has been turned on to a lot of comic books,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of superheroes.
And with that being said, so what would be your pick?
As far as my favorite superhero,
I mean,
Yeah.
like I said before,
Or-
not binding. This is just for discussion purposes. Like, who would be someone that you had in mind for the Native American team?
oh man, that's a good question. Because I do remember the X-Men movie, was it Days of Futures Past?
Mm-hmm.
There was a Native American in that movie. His name is Warpath.
Yeah.
And his blades are made of adamantium steel. And he can grow different sizes. So yeah, there's Native American heroes, and he dies in that movie, but yeah, Warpath. There is also a character by the name of Apache. He too can grow different sizes. He can grow from 6'2" to about 15 feet tall and have superhuman strength.
That's the guy who was in the old Super Friends cartoon, right? Apache Chief, I think his name was.
Yeah, that's who he is.
But surely you would not, in the first round, draft an existing Native American character, right?
Oh no, like I told you before we went on the before we went on the podcast, I would tell you definitely my first draft pick would definitely be Storm. I think she would be a good Native American character.
Okay.
And you know, like I said, a lot of Native Americans, both on the southern Athabascan and northern Athabascan tribes, we believe that yeah, we can control the weather, and so I figure yeah, Storm would definitely be a good one.
Now, is this Mohawk Storm or Storm without the Mohawk?
Just Storm, period. It doesn't matter if she's got the Mohawk.
As long as she's
Frozen.
Black Storm, though. That's the only requirement.
What?
Yeah.
Black Storm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Black Storm.
Only requirement.
And the thing is that you know,
call her Black.
you know, like I told Mike before, you know, there are some friends who believe in these people called thunder beings, and they can control the weather. The people who have passed on before, you know, they control the lightning, the wind, and it's like that with my tribe. If you ever get a chance, look up the Gahe dancers, and you'll see lightning painted on their arms. So I figure Storm would be a good one. And for me, myself, I would like to think that the Punisher would be a good one for me to draft.
Native American. Tell me more. Like,
just for the simple fact that the Punisher is a straight up Marine. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Right.
He's a Marine, and you can read comic books and say that he's special forces. Like, no, he's a fucking Marine. And then once his family got killed, he just lost his shit.
The guy that played Punisher.
That's exactly what Geronimo did. Once his wife and his 2 little girls were killed, he just lost his shit and he went fucking ballistic. So I figure the Punisher is a good character for Native Americans.
So in your imagined interpretation of the Punisher, does he have that that memory, that sort of cultural memory and affinity for Geronimo? Is that another thing that motivates him?
Oh well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, with him being a Marine, and Kia will tell you, the Marine Corps is a culture. It's a way of life, and once he lost his entire family, he just fucking snapped. And I have Marines in real life who have snapped and just lost their shit, and they ended up being dead or they ended up being in prison. That was part of the reason why I love Kia. With her, when I met her in Okinawa, Japan, to me she is kind of like a comic book character, because there are times where I've lost my life or lost my mind, and she kind of kept me straight.
Wow.
And like I said, she is a pain in the ass, but
Can I be a pain anywhere else? Like, just asking. Anywhere? Like, what about the arm? Like, or shoulder?
No, just the ass. Period. That's just who you are.
Right. Everybody's gonna be like, Kia. They're gonna associate me with asses from here on out.
Exactly, because you're an ass. And that's exactly what you called me back in Kuwait.
That is true.
Yeah. So yeah, I do, or I have not forgotten a lot of my friends out there who have looked out for me, because if I didn't have any friends out in the Marine Corps, because they are my Marine family, I would have been totally like Frank Castle. I would have just went ballistic and just killed people who I felt deserved it, and that's not me. And
so Joaquin, so we talked offline, and I know who could be a really good first round draft pick, and I appreciate the fact that you're not sharing it with the podcasting world, but I fully endorse some of the people that you talked about, and hopefully when you make it official, you either write it up on the in our chat room, or like send it to me so that I can make sure that it comes out, but or even pop back up on the podcast next week, or whenever we officially do the draft. But like, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to you. You're a character, so you are definitely a character, and I hope that you stay ready for the smoke.
I'm always ready for the smoke. Any climb or place, man.
Hey, can I just say I'm looking forward to everything. The topics that we've been able to kick off through just beginning to set up the racial draft have been impressive pretty much every single episode so far. It's really been a great taking off point. So pretty excited.
And I just want to say that everything that Mark has said, I wrote down, and he's just reading from my paper.
Why'd you admit that on the air? You caught me. Caught me.
But anyway, guys,
Now the world knows
it's
I'm
time
fake.
for me
It's okay,
to
I'll own it.
take off, and I really do appreciate, the fact that you guys kept an open mind and we were able to have an open discussion, even if we didn't agree on things. But I'm glad that we were able to talk about it like civilized people. So I gotta go. And thank you for inviting me onto your podcast, Mike.
Thank you for being here with us.
It was a
Well,
pleasure.
thank you for inviting me, girl.
You're welcome.
Everybody else, if you have any closing words, now's the time.
I said my bit. I think it was a great show today. I know I certainly learned a lot, and hopefully people listening to this will feel like they learned something too and gained a different perspective on things. So good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to binge watch some movies real quick and take notes now. Like next time we talk,
Mike,
it's going to be on.
is any of this going on Facebook, or not Facebook, but YouTube?
I haven't done a YouTube thing yet. I'm gonna sort of save it for once we really get rolling. But no, this is gonna go on the regular podcasting platforms, on your Spotify's, on your Google Podcasts, and your Apple Podcasts. So feel free to let all your friends know. Like, I'm gonna share it, and
I definitely would like to share it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna I don't know who has podcasts. Oh, sorry, who has Spotify and who has what. Like, I'm gonna share all the different links once I get this edited and up on the platform. But they can feel free to go back and listen to the old episodes. Those are cool too. Maybe a little bit.
Oh, and Mike, just to jump in, because this is a podcast requirement apparently. If you're listening, if you could give us a 5-star review or whatever, that really helps us out and helps the podcast out or whatever. If you could give us a review on whatever platform you're listening to, and 5 stars would
I
be
will
great.
definitely do that.
Yeah,
And the like button. Do they have like buttons?
But yeah, I'm
Subscribe.
I'm gonna get better about sharing it on all the socials. Like, there is a Facebook page, just I've never showed it before, but it's Racial Draft. We have a member page, so feel free to add us and like
So
us.
misleading. Everybody's gonna be like racial draft. You could have Trump.
Why gotta be so
You all can have
racist?
What is
Trump.
this?
What is this? They're gonna report our page. Racial
Oh, it's just
All
three
right, no
random
racial
niggas
draft.
just talking about comic books and shit.
Page as well. Follow us on Twitter as well. The Racial Draft. Oh, sorry, it's Racial Draft Pod on Twitter. And yeah, like, we're gonna grow this podcast. We're gonna have some great discussions. We're gonna have maybe not as deep every week. Maybe we're just gonna keep it.
No,
Well,
Mike, deeper every week.
Put it
Next
on
week,
Again, Mark, say it
existentialism.
again.
Put this podcast on YouTube, and I will share it. Put it on YouTube, and I will share it.
Well, we can talk. Like I said, I haven't set up the YouTube account yet, but it'll be on the audio platforms. And yeah, like, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to having you guys back in various configurations and incarnations. And like I said, I'm not sure if we're going to draft next week or the week after, but we're going to talk about it, and we'll keep you posted. And hopefully, it'll be weekly. So, same time, same place, same draft. I still haven't come up with a good call sign for when the show ends, but all things are possible with the Racial Draft. So
Yeah. Well, whenever you're ready, bro.